Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us for this installment of Talking VoIP with Datagate. I'm Mark Loveys, CEO of Datagate-Telecom Billing, and in today's episode we're focusing on 𝗧𝗹𝗶 and our guest is Morgan Aspinall of 𝗧𝗹𝗶. He's the multiple hat wearer, as they call him, and we'll be talking with Morgan today. 𝗧𝗹𝗶 is very important to Datagate-Telecom Billing because an increasing number of our MSP clients are choosing 𝗧𝗹𝗶 as their PSA system. 𝗧𝗹𝗶 operates in all the countries that Datagate operates in, and furthermore, we have a comprehensive integration between Datagate-Telecom Billing and 𝗧𝗹𝗶 to share data and eliminate need for rekeying between the two systems. Morgan, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, Morgan, it was great to actually meet you guys at the Channel Partners Conference in Las Vegas last week. It was great to meet you. We obviously worked together as teams, and to meet in person, and also for Liston to come out and visit your office in the UK. It's great. So
yeah, it's a successful trip all round. Yeah,
definitely. Absolutely. So Morgan, so getting to 𝗧𝗹𝗶, obviously you're looking to be very popular around the world. We're seeing you all over the place in the countries that we operate in. How is 𝗧𝗹𝗶 positioned? What are its strengths? Why would someone choose 𝗧𝗹𝗶 against the other PSAs that are on the market today?
Yeah, sure. I think there's sort of two or three main aspects to answer that question. First and foremost, the app itself is incredibly fast. You might find in other leading PSA tools that it might take 2, 3, 4 seconds to open a ticket. In 𝗧𝗹, tickets open in milliseconds.
Wow.
We've been around for a long time, actually. Formerly Net Help Desk, a company that we're 30 years old, meaning that we have sort of 30 years worth of functionality baked into that app. But it used to be a Windows-based application, and then more recently we sort of ported everything over to a web app. So we've got a mature feature set, but in this new shiny, fast web-based application. To that point as well, even though we are 30 years old, we still move like a startup. So you'll find our rate of development is blindingly fast. We're pushing out new releases every week, every other week, and every single one of those releases has dozens of, if not hundreds of features on them. And the other side of it is the business aspect. I think the MSP community are very appreciative of the fact that we are sort of privately owned. The same two people who started the company 30 years ago are still the owners of that company today, and we have no intention of selling out at any point. Even to the point where we're actually looking to put something into our contracts to honor that pledge.
Wow.
Yeah, I think shiny fast new app with heaps of functionality and new features coming out all the time, and no intention of selling out. So that's probably what I'd say.
Wow, that's awesome. And Morgan, one thing that really impresses me, especially meeting you guys in person, so many of you are technical. I mean, I understand, you handle a lot of the marketing in the company, and you tell me that your official job title is a senior technical consultant, if I get that correctly. But
yeah.
And is that something across the board? Are most of your guys, come from a technical background?
Well, I think another great thing about 𝗧𝗹 is a lot of us sort of touch various aspects of the business. And for myself, I don't do onboardings as much anymore, but I have done, as part of the implementation team, done many onboardings with MSPs over the years. And throughout that time, of course, I've learned a lot about 𝗧𝗹 and about PSAs in general, but you also get good exposure to the industry. So it's a matter of the more you know, the more valuable you are, and 𝗧𝗹
Absolutely.
very much cherished that, as opposed to putting people in a box and sort of keeping them there.
Wow, that's excellent. So getting into the billing side of things, it's something that Datagate's obviously always very interested in. How does billing work inside 𝗧𝗹𝗶SA?
Yeah, sure. I suppose I'll briefly just demonstrate. There's a lot that can be discussed. I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. Quickly share my screen.
Yeah, very good.
Brilliant. So there's, of course, we have sort of all of the core billing functionality that one would need. We have the ability to create ad hoc invoices, recurring invoices and agreements, and of course bill for labor or add labor to said agreement. All of that functionality can be found in the invoices module. So what we're looking at here is just a trial I've spun up just earlier today. So anyone getting a trial round about this time should see an interface very similar to this. Now in our invoices module, we have the ability to create our recurring invoices, where what we're doing in here is we're effectively creating a template for invoice creation, by which I mean we add all of our sort of recurring products in here and set a schedule for the invoice or instances of the recurring invoice to be created. So you see on the right hand side here, we've got our schedule that we can set. So it might be that you're billing monthly, at which point you'd have your repeat period to be monthly. You might be billing quarterly or annually, so you've got some options in here around that. Pick our customer, let's just do Acorn. And then we can add our recurring items onto our invoice. And further to that point, it's quite common that these recurring invoices will actually be based on some other part of the system. Maybe you're invoicing for licenses, or you're doing per device billing or something like that. So at that point, what we can do is we can actually change the quantity from just being a hard-coded number to being calculated from some other part of the system. So to enable that functionality, all we need to do is go to our configuration panel, which is where we have all of the settings in Halo. And then within our configuration panel, we have a billing option. And within here, we have recurring invoices. And all I have to do is enable this option to allow recurring invoice quantities to be based on other parts of the system. Now, if we go back to our recurring invoice, what I could do is I could say my business premium license line, instead of it just being hard coded to 10, I can actually have that quantity determined based on some other part of the system. In this case, it's going to be licenses. And it's worth mentioning that we have integrations with CSP, PSA, Ingram Micro, etc., to pull those licenses and subscriptions into Halo, such that you don't actually have to worry about adjusting your quantities from month to month, quarter to quarter. The integration can handle that all for you. So the idea is you set your billing up, and you just leave it in the background and watch Halo do its thing.
Wow. That's very impressive, and I can see looking at the screens. Firstly, they're very nicely designed, very nice, clean user interface, and I can see, from the functionality you're offering too, that definitely see the experience coming through. That you guys are definitely working in this industry for a considerable time, and it's a very functional and well designed product.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the front end is written in React, so developed by
Right.
Facebook. So it's that sort of pleasant user experience on a day-to-day. And then, of course, behind that, really powerful engine packed full of features.
Yeah. Excellent. So on the subject of billing, what are the most common billing, the MSP billing models that you've seen? The different ways that people structure, their contracts for billing.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose I've seen a shift from sort of a break-fix model more to managed service agreements, and even further to that, standardizing those managed service agreements, which I think is a far better way of doing things. As an MSP, you're going to want to be getting reliable recurring revenue, and that break-fix model, while it can work, you're at the whim of the customers' needs. If they don't request support for a month, then you're not getting any money from them. So I've seen people sort of standardizing their packages, which also is going to be beneficial, because it's very hard to track your clients that you potentially upsell to if everyone's on this bespoke contract and there's no sort of uniform package that you're providing across all your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're seeing the same, the same sort of trends there. And so, What sort of differences are you seeing in the market, say, for example, UK, New Zealand, Australia, compared to North America?
Hmm.
What are the differences and or what are the similarities as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, the sort of the models themselves, I think, are actually fairly standardized across the different regions. The one thing that I would say is definitely different between the US and Europe is the taxes in the UK are incredibly straightforward. It's just a flat fee. Similar in Europe, depending on the country that you're in.
Yeah,
However, in America, it's a different ballgame altogether, as I'm sure you're aware.
absolutely. Yeah, well, that's good. And then so, are there any other sort of differences just in the way the MSPs work themselves? I mean, are they all sort of facing similar challenges? Are they are there anything in particular, or really are we seeing the same business challenges in all those countries?
Personally, I think they're very similar across the board.
Yeah.
That's from my experience, though. It's sort of worth mentioning that while I've worked with many MSPs, I've never run one myself. So somewhat of an outsider looking in. But yeah, from my experience, the challenges across the board are somewhat similar.
Yeah,
Could,
no, it's interesting.
what
It's
what do
certainly
you
what.
think on that?
Yeah, yeah, no, the same. I think we find that it's we take a lot of experience from one country. We try that out in the others, and I guess I agree with you that particularly in telecom, the tax was quite different in the US, but apart from that, yeah, a lot of similarities, and MSPs themselves are often quite interested to know, what are people doing in other countries, and it's amazing how the world has become, becoming very unified in that respect. A lot of the same technologies and dealing with the same suppliers a lot of the time too.
Yeah, and there's a really strong community in the MSP space, and
Yeah,
I quite often see a customer that I work with in the UK talking to a customer that I work with in the US, and everyone's sort of sharing ideas, and
yes,
as you say, over time,
yeah.
there's this sort of blend into best practices globally. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we're seeing a lot of is the demand for automation. MSPs love things to be automatic, and that's something we've really taken to heart
for
in
sure.
Datagate. And I just wondered, HaloPSA, how are you reacting to that?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, as I previously mentioned regarding the automation of setting those invoice quantities, that's a
Mm,
huge feature that came out a while ago now, but
yeah,
that's something that I've seen a great response to. Yeah,
yes,
further to the automation point, I
mm,
suppose there's MSPs. Obviously, they have a large sort of stack, a large tech stack, and they don't want to have to be manually keying in data from one platform to the other. They want a seamless transition between all of their different tools, and the
mm,
automation of communicating data between the two. Uh, I suppose to that point, again, I'll share my screen.
mm.
HaloPSA has a very rich repository of native integrations. So again, in
Right.
the configuration module, you'll have an integration section, and you'll see all of the tools that HaloPSA already integrates with.
Wow.
And one of my favorite features that has recently been developed is this custom integration section. So
Mm,
effectively, HaloPSA can now integrate with any API that the MSP has access to. So you can go
wow.
in here and you can create an integration with any tool that you see fit. So while we do have this sort of extensive list of native integrations, the chances are there's going to be some tool that we don't already integrate with. We now have the ability to effectively integrate with anything and automate the data flowing from from Halo to another platform, or from another platform to Halo. Another cool new feature that
Wow.
we've introduced is the ChatGPT integration. Further to
Yes,
the
yes.
point of automation.
Yeah.
So I think we still are the only PSA that has an integration already brought out. I mean, the ChatGPT hype kicked off a couple of months ago now, I suppose, and
Yeah.
approximately 4 weeks after that, we had this integration in. I mentioned it to Tim, our sort of product manager, and then a couple of weeks later, there it was. Yeah, so that came out blindingly fast. And I see pros and cons of ChatGPT itself, and I'm interested to see how it's going to change the MSP scape over the future.
Wow, that's incredibly quick, and yeah, these integrations are very impressive. I know from our own experience, the more integrations, the better in the MSP market. Yeah, wow, and yeah, really impressed with that custom integration function too. That's amazing. So, what about coming on to telecom now? What are your thoughts about MSPs reselling telecom services versus the ones? What are you seeing in the countries that you're operating in terms of telecom uptake?
Definitely something that is more prominent in America. I suppose you guys are the authority on this one. So Mark, perhaps you could sort of school me on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we at Datagate are seeing tremendous uptake. We're seeing that MSPs are winning in that market. So they're taking a lot of business off the big telcos because the fundamental logic that businesses prefer to buy their technical services off one source. There's a saying in America, they want one throat to choke when something goes wrong. They don't want two companies saying it's the network. No, it's the UK system, or they want somebody to be responsible for the whole the stack that makes it work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good question. I mean, are you seeing that? I mean, in the UK, and I mean, is that, for example, you come from the UK? Is that something that? I mean, what's the dynamic there?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's definitely picking up more recently.
Yes.
I think the Datagate integration is certainly going to help drive that forward.
Yeah.
I suppose the sort of functionality in Halo was not as mature around telecom billing until fairly recently. So it's not a market that we have tapped into so heavily just yet. But again, the channel partners event was a great opportunity to get some exposure. So I think we're going to be seeing a large upkeep on the horizon.
Absolutely. And I guess with the integration between Datagate Telecom Billing and HaloPSA, now we've got an ideal package there to offer that market. I mean, I know in America, in the past, a lot of MSPs stayed away from telecom because they said, look, it's too complicated, the tax and compliance side. That's always been our mission to make it easy. We have partners that do all the tax filing and all that sort of things. But the other big, strong message that we had from MSPs was, well, they want that to work with their PSA system as well. So that's been our big focus, working, and that's why we're so pleased to be working with HaloPSA, a very popular PSA system. And I have to hold back from saying a new entrant because we've been focusing a lot on the US market. We've seen you enter the market in the US and been very impressed. We've also seen you in all the countries that we operate in. And very interesting to hear the history that you've actually been around for about 30 years, and so you've got a lot of experience built into a very new modern technology offering. It's a great combination to have. So Morgan, what are your thoughts on MSPs offering cyber insurance?
Well, that's a no-brainer to me. Absolutely, they certainly should be. People have home insurance, they have contents insurance, you have car insurance, you have health insurance. Why would you not have data insurance? As an MSP as well, you're going to be a sort of primary avenue for cyber attacks. So as an MSP, you should certainly be, as a bare minimum, highlighting the potential risks that customers are putting upon themselves if they don't opt in for insurance. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Right, excellent. So now that there's an integration between Datagate Telecom Billing and HaloPSA, and I understand that this is I guess with the first and only at this stage telecom billing integration, what do you see the opportunities for our combined solution?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunities are immense. There's a whole subsector of and a large subsector of MSPs that do telecom billing. And before the Datagate integration, it was very much a manual process. I'm sure there's some existing customers of Halo that can test to that for sure. And not only that, there's going to be potential leads that we've lost along the way because they've asked about the billing, and we said, oh well, we have all of the billing apart from telecoms billing, and now with the Datagate integration, we've really sort of closed that loop, and we've got the complete billing package that any MSP can use. Cool.
Excellent.
I mean, in terms of the integration as well and sort of uptake, what have you seen at Datagate? What are your thoughts about the integration?
There's been a lot of excitement about this integration between telecom billing and HaloPSA. A lot of our customers, have been looking to move on to HaloPSA. A lot of our prospects coming in say, we're with HaloPSA and we want telecom billing. And so it's exciting new development for us. It was great to actually meet you guys in person, and we've obviously worked together putting this integration together. It's been done really well. I can see the benefits of both teams. They've got a lot of experience in this area, and all the reports we're getting from our customers about the integration are very, very positive. They're very, very glad to not have to rekey things, to make things automatic. And there's one thing that MSPs like that we've both been learning is they love automation, and it's very clear that HaloPSA understands that very well, just as we do at Datagate, and it's great to have this integration between our products. I'm very, very happy with it.
Awesome. Yeah. I think I can speak for everyone at HaloPSA when I say that we're looking forward to continuing to work closely with you in the future months and years. Excellent.
So, anything else you'd like to say? I mean, we've seen tremendous growth of Halo in recent years. Anything, any pearls of wisdom that you could give MSPs that they could apply to their businesses to get phenomenal growth like you guys are getting? Yeah,
I suppose to put it in a post-it note, look after your PSA, and your PSA will look after you. That's it's a matter of making sure that the PSA is set up. It's got all of the data in it that you need to capture. That's the only way that you're going to really get the data that you need back out of the system. It's the old sort of saying, garbage in, garbage out. So take the time to invest in your PSA, because whatever PSA it is, whether it's Halo or some other tool, take the time to invest in it, because it will pay back dividends. Also, don't just set it up and leave it. It's a constant, Halo at least is a constantly growing system, and you as an MSP can grow with Halo by implementing the features that we're developing on a weekly and monthly basis. So as I've mentioned, every week the tool gets more powerful and puts more power in the MSP's hands. But it's not going to do that if the MSP doesn't take the time to actually sort of improve the system by adding the new features in that we've developed. I'd say that's what I'd say. I'd also say MSP will have many different systems. If there's an integration available, I would advise integrating with it. If else, you can use the custom integration feature, and that way you can have HaloPSA as your sort of single centralized platform, that single pane of glass that's going to have all of the data in it that you need. And subsequent to that, you'll be able to have effective reports that you can create, improve profitability, and all of that good stuff.
Excellent. Morgan, thank you for being our guest today. This has been an extremely interesting conversation. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
To our audience, thank you. To our audience, thank you for tuning into this episode of Talking VoIP with Datagate. Our guest today was Morgan Aspinall of HaloPSA. HaloPSA's website is halopsa.com, unsurprisingly. And we wish you success in all your MSP communications and accounting endeavors, whatever they may be. And as always, may the VoIP be with you.